I'm Dina. I know a lot of you. I'm actually first moved to Roanoke in 1977. So I left here, came back to Fupod, but it's been my home, I would say, for most of my life. And it's a community that I love to be a part of. And I love it here that you can't go anywhere and not meet somebody that knows somebody that you miss. So it's a beautiful thing. But we're gathering at a very pivotal moment in our country where we're less than 2 months away from this administration is going to take office. And um, like you, I was trying to figure out what to do and how to deal with the weight of what's about to happen, the stress and all the uncertainty of it. So I cried a little bit and drank a lot of wine. Uh, that's to help deal with the whole process of it. But Claire, he came a couple weeks ago, and my husband and I were driving into Renwick from Catawba, where we live, and I saw all the Trump signs and gave them all a big thumbs down. And some trucks that we passed and maybe some houses that I thought looked like those people voted to end our democracy. And it was very cleansing. And the reason why the thumbs down was very cleansing was advice that I got from a 20-year-old here in the office, in the audience. He's very near and dear to me, and said that the thumbs down is much more impactful than the yellow finger because it's a sign of disappointment instead of anger. This, from that, I started thinking, who do I know and what can we do? And I know Sam Rasoul. I go, I'm going to call him. And I've met them probably a year and a half ago. We've had the opportunity to be in the same place at the same time because of his kids, who are fabulous, by the way. So we've talked a lot about politics. And every time Sam left, even though I can't vote for him, unfortunately, he's always said, if there's anything that I can do for you, let me know. So I did. And I reached out and I called him and said, what can we do? And he said, well, what bothers you the most? And what bothers me the most are the things that we're talking about here today and the things that are bothering you and concern for you, and reproductive health care for women in the LGBTQ community, and refugees, and everything that is affecting anyone's freedom that is a minority. So we put all this together. So thanks for being here, so we can put a plan of action on to help combat at least what could happen in the next 2 years, so we can maybe make some change there. So from that can do good to Virginia. So it is an honor to be here with this group of incredible people. I'm willing to make meaningful change. So thank you very much. You're a great community, and we're going to be doing great things for our community here. So glad to be part of that. Thank you. And I'm going to turn things over to Sam.
All right, let's give Dina a round of applause. Nothing like an angry woman from the wilderness. Shanna's like, man, God bless her having to put up with my middle schoolers under their school-led wilderness adventures. And if you can do that, you can do anything. That's
You're great.
Force of nature for sure. James Baldwin, great philosopher, said that the world does not fill me with despair. I'm enraged, but I cannot afford to have despair because the children must have hope. And while a lot of this feels like Groundhog's Day all over again, where we were 8 years ago, we're here again. We certainly feel as though that the struggle, there's always got to be this piece of hope, and certainly people with this energy that's in here represents some of that as we move forward. So what, beyond being the state legislator for the area, what I do professionally for a living is I am a strategic planner. So I do this for corporations and nonprofits a lot. And so when Dina said, I want to get involved and try to get some folks together, we start kind of brainstorming and thinking how to strategically approach this, where it's great to have a lot of people yelling at a bunch of things, but maybe we can figure out how to channel some energy. And so we began thinking about what are some topics that are most of interest to her and in our respective wonderful circles. And so there'll be some individuals who are going to speak briefly about the greatest threat, specifically the greatest threat that they see to their respective verticals, their communities, based on the incoming administration. And then maybe we'll put our heads together for the last third of our time to try to brainstorm some ideas that we're going to throw on the parking lot. And look, we will. I think that I never try to sugarcoat things. I think that the next 4 years will be rough. It'll be even different than the previous administration. They're very well organized this time. No one really thought it was going to happen the first time around. This time they've been planning for 4 years very methodically. So there's a lot under threat. And we need to take that pretty seriously. However, it's important to delineate what is like really urgent versus really important. So there are a lot of important things. And then we can try to methodically sift out what might be very urgent. And a pressing example that some people will think about is, that there's clearly a lot that the new president can be doing with regards to refugee immigrant communities, which a number of you have put those concerns here as you were coming in. The way that the Dada's decision is written and the way women's reproductive rights is written, there's certainly more hurdles that can be put in place, but there isn't an executive order the way our government is structured that could be devastating from day one. What they do is would be able to chip away further at some of those rights. So you'll see some things on fire day one, and then some things that are really fortified based on your state, because what the Dobbs decision then did is kick it back to the state, just like with half of the Affordable Care Act. So the Affordable Care Act, half of it was valid, half of it was invalid. The invalid part was because the Supreme Court said the state has the right to decide if they want to expand Medicaid. So the states have enormous amount of power. And so we'll determine what issues are going to be at a state level versus at the federal level, as far as what might be most pressing to deal with. And that will help us focus what we need to be doing in Washington versus next year there'll be a gubernatorial election, for example, which will be critically important for Virginia and the defensive work that we're going to be doing over the next 4 years. So also part of Dina asking me to facilitate is to be a little bit of the bad guy. So we're going to have speakers come up, some awesome speakers. I have the dreaded timer on my phone. It'll have a very kind of pleasant let you know your 5 minutes are up. And the whole point is to keep the train rolling, to respect your time. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of people want to get off their chest. After each speaker, we'll have time maybe for 1 or 2 questions. And so that'll be like in question format. So if you're preparing your speech ahead of your question, we won't just have to skip to the question part of the speech. So please reel it on back in. And so that way we can keep the train rolling. And what I'll be doing is I have a parking lot here. So every time I hear as someone's presenting or in a question, hear something, and I undoubtedly will miss something, but here's something that is an action item that we might consider the tail end of our program this evening. I'll throw it on here, and then we'll discuss it at that point.
And are you going to email us our action items?
I'll do whatever you want. I will email. What we'll do is we'll put the action items up here, and then the last 30 minutes or so we'll do is actually discuss these. We'll have a group discussion on this information, and then determine if there may be 20 awesome things here, but there may be 3 or 4 that we immediately have people who want to
to kind of jump on and say, I'm the team lead on this. And we're always interested in team leads. So I see you're ready to raise your hand first. And so which is great.
So also had a website.
And so there will be a full website, which is so now Dina has started her own initiative, which is awesome. DoGood.
So we do goodvirginia.com and .org. I bought them both.
Okay.
But I'll send it out in an email. So I'll capture everything for us and kind of other events and things that we're doing and make it a nice portal, which I think will work better than a Facebook group. So.
Okay. So with that, I'm going to add any other questions. We'll turn it back over to Dina to introduce our.
So thanks for being the bad cop. I'm not a good